right, guys. So I will be interviewing Mary today. She has a wonderful, amazing, incredible success story. She came into the program, really went all in, but kind of hit some snags around week 4 and then finally surrendered and saw just this massive shift happen. But I don't want to tell too much of her story right now. I'm going to let her just kind of answer the questions and share really her biggest takeaways, her biggest moments of transformation, what really stuck out to her and allowed her to change through the program. So you can get some value from her journey and learn through the twists and turns and the massive, massive success that she got through the program. So Mary, thank you so much for taking the time for the interview today. I know your story is going to teach and inspire lots of women.
Oh, my pleasure. Your program changed my life, so I would love to, tell my story and let people learn from my situation.
Awesome. So let's jump in. One of the first things I wanted to ask you is if you could just kind of paint a picture. We're definitely going to get to the after, but if you could kind of just paint a picture for us of what your life and your relationship with your body and food looked like before you reached out to, before you decided to start on the program.
Well, I'm 51, and I would, looking back on my life, I basically think that from the age of probably 13 on, I've always struggled with food. My body's always been, I've always had a poor body image, always wanted to be thinner, in the best shape. I literally started diets that young, and food pretty much controlled everything about, my self-worth, my value, what, if I was 5 pounds heavier, 20 pounds heavier, 10 pounds thinner, and it controlled everything. It kind of kept me, as I got older too, I noticed it kept me from kind of living my life, and I kind of kept me hidden, and I really didn't realize how much I did that until, I kind of opened up and realized, what, this isn't the way to live anymore. I got to a point where I was just tired of kind of being in my own shadow and just not living life. And I knew there had to be a different way, that, diets and constant struggling and going up and down in weight wasn't working for me. And it's all I thought about it. And I hit it. I hit it very well. I'm a mom. I have 2 wonderful kids. They're all grown up now, and I'm out and about, and no one knew. It was kind of my hidden little secret. So I guess it just got to the point where I wish I wouldn't have waited so long, but I didn't have this at my disposal 30 years ago. So that's pretty much why I became interested in the program.
Yeah, and I know you definitely did the best with the information you had at the time. I'm just curious, well, I know the answer to this, just so everyone can kind of realize it. What did the pattern of your eating look like? And if you don't have to go into deep detail or anything, I want to make sure you're comfortable. But just to so everyone knows, it was that diet, restrict, and then binge or nighttime eating. Correct? It was kind of that like on and off, all or nothing mentality with your eating prior.
It was, and it was more. I was a chronic dieter. My weight would go up and down, throughout this whole time. There was times where I would diet and keep it off for a while, but there wasn't one time where it didn't come back on. And then, the shame and guilt of it all would happen. I would, even when I wasn't so-called dieting, I was dieting. I was living on shakes for meals and just nighttime eating, because I think I was just, I was saving all the calories because I lost control at night. So I knew I was going to eat at night. My theory in my head was just don't eat all day. Then you'll have your calories at night and you won't gain weight. And well, that didn't work because using nighttime eating turned into hiding food or binging. And then just a repetitive cycle. That's pretty much, I wouldn't say it was every day, but it definitely was pretty much off and on through the whole, 30-some years. Gotcha. That's kind of what my intake looked like. It was all restriction and control.
Gotcha. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. I know a lot of people will relate to that. I know I relate to that completely. That's pretty much exactly what my situation and stuff looked like, except my binges got really compulsive and out of control there for a little bit. But okay, so now we kind of see what it was pre-Beating Binge Eating Blueprint. So what about after, completely after. We can talk about the phases of the process and kind of what you went through on your journey, but what's after look like? Now that you have food freedom forever and I think you're how far out of the program are you? About 6 months or so, correct?
I think it's, closer to
more.
Yeah, I think it's closer to, almost a year. Like, at least 9-10 months. And that's what's funny is I guess that's what the program's done for me. I don't even think about, I think about the program and I'm involved in the program, the ongoing support, and the community of women is just amazing, and it just, I love being a part of the group. But the fact that I don't really think about, there's no game plan when I wake up in the morning. There's no, okay, what am I going to eat today? There's no, when am I going to eat? There's no, I got that hunger cue in my body back. I get up and eat a good breakfast because it's nourishing and it's, and I eat. I guess I just don't think about it. It's like, I hate to use the word normal, but if this is what normal people, I always I always looked up to these people that could have the same clothes in their closet, that are the same size and, eat when they're hungry, and they don't seem to think about it, and they just, go through life and they're, living their life and they're enjoying life, and they don't have this compulsion. And that's what I have now. The best part of it is I have it and don't even think about it. And the freedom that means to me is so incredible because that's why I know it's going to work, because I've never had this thought. I've never not thought about food and not thought about, what is my workout plan going to be today because I ate too much yesterday. I don't even think that way anymore. And I'm 51. I thought that old way for over 30 years, and now I don't, that's how I know that I'm healed and I'm restored, because I don't think about it. I just live my life and enjoy it. And I guess the biggest thing too is I used to kind of not work out with people because I couldn't work out, and get the best workout possible. Now, if I want to go work out, I call a friend. Or we do group fitness things where before I never thought that was enough of a workout. If a friend calls me and says, hey, let's do lunch, and I was planning on going to the gym, now I nurture that friendship. I'll say, what? Yeah, let's go to lunch. So I'm doing things that I would never have done before. So the freedom that it's given me, and the not thinking about food, it doesn't control my thought process anymore.
Yeah, that's so great. I feel like it's gotten really almost easy. It's just an easy relationship with food for you, which is awesome. And I think it's wonderful that the program had such an impact on you easing up on yourself in the gym and with your workouts, and just developing a more sustainable, enjoyable way of moving, because the program actually touches very little on fitness. And so it's just interesting how when we shift these really controlling beliefs in our relationship with food, and just our how hard we are on ourselves, and how intense we are on ourselves, and that control and that force and restriction, we realize, hey, a lot of our fitness is coming from that place too. And it sounds like this ease has kind of naturally rippled out into other areas for you, which is really wonderful, really, really wonderful. And as far as the food goes, so I know you're not thinking about it all the time. I know also, so you're eating, fairly, I hate labels, obviously, that, but just for you eat in a pretty healthy giving way now naturally, and then you also allow yourself to have things, with your family, with your friends, enjoy yourself. If you want carbs, if you want rice cake and peanut butter and banana, I know that's one of your favorites, you let yourself have it, where before those things were kind of unheard of during the day. So it's from the outside looking in, I know you've achieved a true balance where you're still really taking care of yourself, but also allowing yourself things like having pizza with the family one night, and not letting that turn into, okay, I ate pizza, now I'm going to go to my room and eat this, this, and this, and then I'm going to work out tomorrow to get it off. It's like, no, I just ate pizza and had fun with family, and that's it. It's kind of that take it or leave it, and you do have that freedom. So, yeah, from the outside looking in, I see that with you, which I think is a huge shift and just really powerful.
It is, because and that's one thing. Like, when I took the step to do the program and stuff, in my head, all I thought about is I got to get control. I get, this is the old me thinking. I have to control this. I have to do this. I have to do this. It's all about, if I can control this with food, then everything else, nothing else matters. But like, I got to quit dieting, and I gotta, I even entered the program in, be in the beginning phases of like, I want to, quit dieting and lose weight. And then when I entered the program, the weight kind of found, like, I've been at the same weight for probably a good 6 months, and that's never been heard of. And my body kind of found that weight on its own without any kind of force or any kind of control. And that surprised me. I was very surprised. And I think when I entered the program, it was all about food. I didn't realize how much the program was going to affect the rest of my life, from putting myself out there, trying new things, getting out of my comfort zone. And I didn't wait to do that until I was done with the program. I was living my life while I was on the program, and that I didn't expect. I entered it kind of expecting the list was going to be about control and a list of to-dos and nots, and it's quite the opposite. So that's what surprised me, and I know that's what kind of was the game changer of your program.
Yeah, I love that. That's so awesome. And so let's talk a little bit about the program itself. So what made it to you, I mean, I know you kind of went into this, but if you've tried so much, right? Years of dieting, everything. So not just diets, like different methods of control, different programs, different coaches. Like you've tried it all, right? So,
I have. I really, really have. Yeah.
Yeah. So what made, I think, hypnosis, different medicine. I know you and I have tried very similar things. So yeah, I know what it feels like to try a lot and then find something that really works. So what do you think made the Beating Binge Eating Blueprint different than other methods you've tried before? Like, what do you think made it really stick for you? And just because your change isn't like a controlled change. It's not like you're white knuckling your way through the day and using tools to stop an urge. Like, you don't have urges to binge anymore. Your way of being is completely different. Like, you've shifted your way of being. So what was it? Like, what do you think made it different? What really stuck out to you?
When I didn't know what to expect as far as the support in the program and stuff, and because it is a group program, I didn't know how personal it would be, and I'm blown away at the support in the group. The support of the ladies is so. I've been on these groups where it's so negative and dark, and it's like, I don't know, you and your team members, I mean, you guys are so supportive when we hit a wall or we have a little slips or like great. There's always a response from you guys. The support is unbelievable, which helps tremendously. And then there's a tremendous amount of support from the women in the group. We're all each other's biggest cheerleaders. We feed off each other as far as, hey, this is, this module, what do you think about this? And we go over questions together. So there's 24-hour support, basically. I mean, sometimes I'm amazed that I'll wake up to four posts in the program's page, and it's great. I just think, the individual support, the group support, the way that I guess it changed my focus from control to kind of listening to my body and being in touch with like my inner voice and my inner wisdom that got lost along the way from society and from the pressure of being a certain weight. So I feel like the program was so much more than just about food for me. And there's no set rules to follow. It was kind of you or one of your team members, if you saw one of us hit a wall, or, you could see that we were maybe struggling a little bit, you guys said, okay, let's look at, you brought the answers out in ourselves. So I guess what I'm trying to say basically is the support was incredible.
It's it's one of my favorite parts of the program. I think it's really powerful, and I love it. I mean, I go to sleep. Obviously, I can't be working, answering things in my sleep, and I wake up and someone had something happen the night before at 9 p.m. and they have 6 responses, really profound, amazing responses, that supported them. And so you're right, that 24-hour love and support from the girls, and everyone's so incredible in there. So good. That's so awesome. I'm really glad that is a part of it that you really enjoy. And I know for you too, because we've talked numerous times, I know the brain science piece and kind of like the objective nature of it in the beginning was really important for you, because you're right, the program does go into other areas and it allows you to break free and open and step into your power in all areas of life. However, I know for you, having that objective piece at the beginning, kind of like the systematic nature of it at the beginning, is what allowed you to really surrender, because you had the facts and like the reason to trust you. So piggybacking off that, because I know your journey looked a little bit different throughout it, right? What would you say? Were you going to say something? Sorry.
Well, I was just saying, it's everything else I tried, I realize now after doing your program was done out of force, out of control, not knowing why I'm doing this to get to this end result. And I felt the reason why I feel like they didn't work is because unless I kept controlling something, I wasn't going to be successful. And then with your program, I felt like it was more like a journey that I don't know how you did this, but you knew from each week what stage I was going to be at, what I was going to be hitting walls with, what was going to happen from week 1 to week 2. And the modules supported my journey, and there was a plan to it. I didn't know the plan, but you knew the plan. And each module kind of fed off, or each week fed off the previous week. And it was like you knew what was going to happen. You knew where my journey was leading to before I knew it. And having faith in that is kind of what made that journey for me work. So I think your program was more of a journey with an end result and a clarity that I never got from anything else that I tried.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So you felt like the process kind of worked with you instead of just forcing you to do things, or feeling like you had to white knuckle it till the end of time to make it work, or it felt like it really flowed with you and supported you along the different phases and with the different fears and stuff that came up. So awesome. That's so amazing.
Yeah, it really was. And it was kind of like you were kind of a fortune teller and knew what was going to happen before I did. And I would be like, I don't know. It just became, the whole journey became second nature versus forced. And I guess that's the biggest difference to me, was the journey versus this is a program, this is what, you have to do for the rest of your life. Your journey led me to a freedom of not even thinking of what I have to do for the rest of my life. It's kind of just second nature now.
That's so awesome. And that's freedom to me too. Like, I had times in my life where maybe I got through a week without binging, but I was still controlling every last thing that went in my mouth. I was still living in fear. I still was avoiding situations, saying no to the trips. Like, goodness knows what I was doing. And that's not freedom either. Like, yeah, maybe you can be binge-free for a small span of time, but that's not really freedom. So I love that you're feeling true freedom. That's really, really powerful.
Well, and it is, and there's a clarity around the freedom that I've never had before. And So however you worked however you came up with the program, and it systematically kind of just fell into place with my journey. Even though we all have different journeys, we're on the same path. We all want this freedom. And it made me dig deep, and it kind of opened up things that no other programs I just did other programs because this is what you have to do and stuff, but it never really opened up or had me tap into, I guess, my inner self. And your program just dug a little deeper and kind of made us, realize, I don't know. To me, it was more of a journey instead of a have to.
Yeah, that's so great. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, you're right. It's systematic to me because I know why we're doing what we're doing in a very, very, everything's very calculated way. But for you guys on the other end, it doesn't feel like that. And that was one of my really big goals in creating it, is making it a more flowy, less rigid, less controlled process, because as we know, that control is what really spirals to binge eating. And that's what anyone in the program usually is coming from, that, those attempts at control and so forth. So gotcha. All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. So let's talk about actually going through the program itself, just so some people in the program or people that are entering into it can kind of know, and not even what to expect, but learn from your journey a little bit. So what was your biggest struggle, and also how did you work around it? So what was, throughout the program, what was like the biggest wall you hit? And speak freely, if it was fear, if it was, whatever it might be. What was that? And then, what allowed you the perspective shift, or what was the shift that kind of got you through that?
I think I would have to say the fear. I had fear throughout I shouldn't say throughout the program, but going into the program, I had fear of, is this just one more thing I'm trying and I'm going to fail at? So I had a fear of failure. And I had lack of trust in myself, or I guess faith in myself, that, I was doing the right things, but I was still waiting for that old me to pop up. And I think releasing, what I learned, the program kind of taught me to have more faith in myself. I used, if you were to tell me that I could have French fries if I felt like them and it not turn into a total tailspin of me wanting, 20 million other junky things to eat, I would have said you were crazy. But now I have faith. The program kind of gave me that faith. So I think the biggest thing was trusting myself with not labeling food, and with being able to have French fries and it not turn into a binge or overeating. And then trusting that, lifting that restriction or that labeling of food being bad, that I would always crave it, so I would, go to that food instead of healthy food. So I think that was my wall, and my fear was, if I'm going to allow all these foods and stuff, how am I going to ever, feel good about myself or have. And then, again, that was part of the old me thinking of, that was where I was talking about the mental control. I was doing all the physical things, but I still was holding back mentally. And then I would have to say what really worked for me was the true allowance, and the program, going through the different modules and stuff, gave me kind of it just gave me more faith in myself. Each module built off the other, and that's I kind of had to have a blind trust in myself and the program at first, but then every week I saw glimpses of this new freedom, and it just got to the point where it just kind of became second nature.
Yeah, that's so awesome. So let's boil that down just a little bit, because I know you had some really interesting shifts throughout. And so it sounds like your biggest fears in the beginning were, fear of loss of control, fear of failure, lack of trust in yourself or even your body, because you felt like, hey, if I allow these foods, if I ease up on the control, I'm going to want 100 French fries and food at night and whatever that might be. So it's like you're scared to release the control, it sounds like. And so I know that you went all in with the releasing control and the allowance. And for anyone listening in regards to allowance, I there's different views on it, right? And for us, we talk about present moment choices and allowing yourself to choose the foods that you want moment to moment. Obviously, sometimes you need to be prepared for food depending on your schedule and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying just walk through life unprepared or anything, but that allowance to us is kind of the choice moment to moment on what's going to nourish you and your body. And for you, I know that you practice, and sometimes that looks like, in some cases, maybe the French fries. I'll use your example because, everyone at dinner is having them, and it sounds like a really nourishing, awesome experience, and you want to connect with everyone, and you want to enjoy it. And does that mean that you're doing it all the time? No, but in that moment you are. And for you, letting go of that control around that was really scary because you had thought, okay, if I do this, I'm going to keep going and going, and am I ever going to be the weight I want to be? Am I ever going to be healthy if I allow these foods? And so can you just talk about so in the beginning, I know you physically allowed foods, but there was still mental and emotional control, fear, and restriction. And I know you kind of hit a little bit of wall in the middle of the program because you hadn't quite let go of that mental and emotional control. So would you mind just talking me through what was the shift between, when did it click for you? And what does this allowance look like to you? Because I know some people think that means we're eating pizza and French fries all day long, and that's not necessarily it. Some people in the beginning might have a couple days like that, whatever it looks like, but it balances out. It always balances out, and I know for you it balanced out too. So what did that shift look like around week 4, where you went from really kind of still mentally and emotionally controlling or judging your choices, and you finally release it? What allowed you to do that? What happened to your body physically? What happened to your spirit and how you felt mentally and emotionally? Just kind of elaborate on that for me.
Well, I think the allowance, in the beginning, it was kind of exciting and it was scary at the same time. And but once I realized by allowance, the food kind of lost its power over me. And further into the program, I would realize that I started, my hunger. I didn't have hunger cues in the beginning of the program, and further in the program, I developed, body awareness without even realizing it. I was, cooking dinners that were healthier because of how I noticed they made me feel. And so I did that without even kind of realizing I was doing it because of, knowing how the food, I felt better, eating healthier. And not to say that, I wouldn't have if I, was out with friends or even, I don't know, I guess I stopped saying no to things and lived in the moment. And then my body kind of became more aware of how foods made me feel and the energy part of it. And then also one of the biggest moments for me, and I think the biggest shifts in my head, was I had a doctor's appointment, and I had, totally stopped weighing myself because I noticed in the beginning of the program I was weighing myself, and I was that was predicting my mood for the day, whether the scale went down or up or what that looked like. I needed to, that was one more thing I needed to release control of. So I kind of, just really stopped focusing on numbers, and I had a doctor's appointment and ended up getting weighed. And the first thing the doctor and the nurse were like, "Oh my goodness, you've been dieting." And they're like, I think, I had gone down I hate to say a number, but it was, I think 15 pounds, maybe 16. And the doctor was like, "Oh, you've been dieting." And I went, "No, actually, I haven't been dieting." And they both kind of looked at me confused. And the biggest thing I got out of that moment was, A, they assumed that just because I lost weight, I was dieting. And B, I had lost that much weight, and the old me would have been all about that weight loss. I would have known every single half pound I lost and stuff. And the fact that this 8 weeks went by and I had no idea. I mean, I knew that things were fitting better, but I had no idea. It just showed me that I regained that freedom of, the number on the scale didn't matter. And it was a great feeling to know that I was more excited about this freedom feeling I got than about losing the weight. That's a first for me. So it wasn't about the weight loss. It was about where I was mentally in my head now. And that was another reason why I feel like the program kind of was the game changer for me, because I got to that point without any kind of control.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so awesome. And, the program is not a weight loss program at all. However, we do tell people that as we get your brain and body in alignment, quiet the survival mechanisms down, which is what you're talking about. So when you say, like, oh, man, all of a sudden I could feel and trust my body's hunger and fullness cues, the problem with the chronic dieter is those aren't there. And so if we jump right into intuitive eating and trying to listen to your body, it doesn't necessarily work because your body's telling you to eat anything and everything. And so we have to go through the phases that the beginning of the program does so your body can start, calling for the foods that it really needs and wants, and you establishing that connection. So, yeah, it's so interesting. As you release control, mental, physical, and emotional, and really surrendered into the process, your body met you. Your body also surrendered right back. And for you, it was weight loss. And for some people, it's not. And for most, it is. Like, if there's extra weight to lose from binge eating, typically our bodies, once we're bringing them back into balance and alignment, will go to that happy place. And you got to see that. And now you stay in that weight within that probably a few pounds of that weight range for the last I looked, and so you graduated 8 months ago. So it's been 8 months. And I know that the weight loss came a little bit during the second half and then also a little after the program. I know that doctor's appointment, I think, was about a month out from the program or a month and a half out. I forget what you had said. But either way, it's not about weight. But what's interesting for you is I just love the connection of, to you, the surrender and the ease, and then just the going all in with the program allowed, your body kind of met you, and even with its cues and your freedom and stuff. So I just think that's so powerful. So, okay. I have 2 more questions to ask you. So we've talked a lot. We did talk a little bit about life. We talked a lot about food, weight, body, and all that good stuff, which is why you started the program in the first place. But what about, like, how does this new feeling translate over into your life? Like, what's life like now without focusing on this struggle?
I have so much more time on my hands to focus on other aspects of my life. I'm trying, I'm doing new things. I'm out there, I guess, living my life and not kind of just, before I used to cancel plans because I didn't feel good from a binge, or not go out to dinner with friends and not want to go to a social gathering because there was going to be food there. And I knew, I just kind of locked myself away, and I didn't even realize how much no I was telling people. So it gave me just the freedom to kind of live my life and try new things and get outside my comfort zone and kind of put more value on me, on aesthetics, and, how, what I looked like more. It gave me more freedom to kind of focus on, what purpose I had in life. And I don't know, I feel like I'm just living a higher version of myself, and it's overpouring into the life of my loved ones, and I'm showing up more for them, and I'm definitely showing up more for me. I'm not so rigid and this is how it has to be done. So I didn't realize how much controlling food was part of how I controlled my life too. And, it's just a freeing experience to know that, you can just live your life and be out there, being your highest version of yourself without any kind of control anymore. So I guess just living my life and just being with others and doing more things and having more fun and not putting so much value on the image of what I should look like. And it gave me more, I'm more confident in myself. And, it's funny because I'm going off a little bit here, but I remember, there's times in my life when I was like the skinniest version of myself, and I was never at peace. I was in the best shape of my life if you looked at me. Now, inside I wasn't, because I was starving myself and I was working out like a fiend and I was miserable. But if you looked at me, you would think you were in that girl's in the best shape of her life and stuff, and I was miserable. So now it's not about, it's not about that. Now it's just about being healthy and happy and living my life. So that's my takeaway. It's just every area of my life has just improved tremendously, from relationships to just living my life. And I think my impact on the world is going to be better because of that.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I love it, because that's what it's really about. The reason, why do we want the freedom? Why do we want to not struggle? And it's, yes, so we have it, but also, like, what does that provide for us? And for so many people, it provides the ability to just show up fully and share your gifts. And that doesn't mean you have to go, start start something huge or anything like that. That means just experiencing your life, being kind to strangers, like being connected to those around you, giving back to yourself, giving back to your family. And I know you've gotten to do that much more freely without the control or restriction and binging. So that is so amazing. All right, so last question or two. What about, okay, so either they're thinking about entering the program, or they're enrolled, right? And they're like starting week 1, and they're just feeling they're scared to either get on the phone with us at first, or scared to just get started. Like, what's your words of wisdom as a graduate, as just someone who has had long-term success with the program? What's your words of wisdom to them? Like, what's your biggest thing?
You know what?
Hey, this is how you get the most out of it.
I think how you get the most out of it is, you jump in 100%. It goes against your old way of thinking. If you were like me, which I'm seeing a lot of, we all have our own stories, but we share such similar, issues, and I'm putting little quotations in the air while I say this. But you kind of have to have just this like blind trust, like just, you know what, you're going to fight it at first. And I wish I wouldn't have. I wish I would have. But then again, that was the fighting it was part of my journey, so it wasn't wrong. But I would say go into the program and utilize the support group. The support group is amazing. The women are amazing. It's not, I used to only, write about, hey, this is so awesome. This is what's, happened today for me and stuff. But I also would say that if you hit a wall, like, don't, write about it, and people will walk you through it. And it's funny because the support is amazing in the group, and you need to take advantage of that and be there for each other, because the more you're there for yourself and each other, the better your journey is going to be. And just having the blind trust, like there's gonna be things the first couple weeks, and you probably don't know the brain chemicals, the science behind it, and that's what you're going to learn, and it's going to scare you a little bit because you're going to be like, oh, I can't do that. But you just have the blind trust, have the faith. And once you get through that, the modules just build, and the journey just becomes incredible. Yeah,
that's so awesome. Oh, great. Yeah, it is. And I think one thing that was very, very, there's usually an underlying trait between, everyone has incredible transformations, but like you had a fast, almost like night and day transformation. And I think that what I see from the outside looking in is almost like that line in the sand moment, where it's like you decide you're not coming in like tiptoeing, you're not like, oh, I'm going to give this a good try. It's like, no, this is it. I'm done. This is it. Like, this program equates to freedom. And you kind of, even if you're scared and might lack belief of yourself sometimes, to me, from the outside looking in, it looks like, okay, this is it. Like, this is my shot. I got this. I'm making this work. And you jumped all in with that commitment. And that doesn't mean you slave away at assignments until, and that's not what commitment is. Commitment is kind of figuring out what to do to make it work. And that looks like showing up on calls, showing up in the group when you're stuck, sharing, taking pieces of the modules and applying them to your life, and really having like that blind faith. It's blind faith, but it's also a really, really big it's trust. It's like trust in yourself in the process, and kind of like that this is it moment versus like, yeah, hopefully this works for me. It's you had a very like, nope, this 100%, I got this, I'm doing this. And I know there were fears of lack of belief in yourself in the beginning. You kind of just went forward anyway. And I think from the outside looking in, that's usually the biggest I feel like the biggest indicator of success is really going all in, and even if you're scared and don't believe in yourself, committing to fostering that belief in yourself in the process.
Well, and I had tried so many things before, and it's just I knew that I don't know how I got to this point. I guess just frustration, but I knew everything. I guess the classic definition of insanity: doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome. And guess what I was doing for 30 years? The same thing. I might have been trying a different diet or trying a different workout or whatever, but I was doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome. So after talking to you, this program was intriguing to me because it was a different approach. And so in my mind, what made me walking into this different from walking into the 20 other million things I tried was I was like, my gosh, you know what? This is different. This is going to work because it is different, and it goes against everything that I tried before, and it just brought so much things up to me that I didn't realize I was doing. So I entered the program with that, this is going to work because of the fact that it was nothing that I've tried before, and it just made sense. Like nothing, I did everything before because, hey, it's a new diet and stuff, but this program, after talking to the logic behind it and, just talking through what the program was about with you guys, I was like, wow, this is something I've never tried before. It's a whole new way of thinking. Maybe this will work. And then as I got into the program, I was like, no, oh my gosh, if I do this 100%, this will work. And it did. It's like, I am so glad that I stuck with it and did it and dug deep. So that was that's how I entered the program, is that it was so unique and different to everything else I tried, when everything else I tried was nothing but failing and repeating, trying the same things over and over again. So entering the program with that mindset of, you know what, this is a game changer. This is what's gonna give me the freedom that I've been looking for so long, is how I kind of approached the program. Like I wasn't gonna fail. This is so different. Like this is it. I just knew. Like I never knew before. I just had that feeling like this is it. This is like, wow, this is it.
Yeah. It's so amazing, and I'm just so proud of you. I got to see your transformation firsthand, on a really personal level, and I think it's just incredible. And knowing, where you came from and how debilitating and controlling that was for so long in your life, and then seeing where you are now, it's just, it's hard to put into words. It's incredible. So I just want to say thank you. I know I think we were going to do 30, and we're at almost 45 minutes. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I think your story is going to help so many.
I have one more thing to say too. I think like during the program, I reminded myself of that too. I reminded myself of, if I felt like I just had a bad day, which, hey, life gets messy and we all have bad days, whether you're in a program or not, you can have a bad day. And I remembered that. Like, I remembered, like, what's the alternative? Go back to diet and restricting? Go back to food being such a focus in your life that you're shutting yourself off? How's that been working for you for the last 30 years? And that kind of kept me staying the course. Like, no, that's not the answer. You proved that's not the answer. So that kind of kept me, like, reminding of myself of what my other option was, and that wasn't an option to me anymore. So the program helped me. That helped me in the program too.
Yeah, that's really, really great to clarify, because a lot of times when fears come up, we revert back to our old comfortable way of being, even if it's extremely uncomfortable and dysfunctional at times. It's our comfort zone still, right? And so fears come up and we go back. And it's important. I love that takeaway for everyone is kind of really identifying, no, like that's not an option. Like, look where that got me. No matter what fears and rationalizations come up, like, look what those actions got me. And, keeping one foot in front of the other with a new way of being, and keeping that faith, which is really, really cool. And I think what's really interesting to me, I mean, obviously, I created it, so, but what's really interesting to me from the outside looking in with all of everyone, yourself included, is there's always that switch that happens, because it goes from a program and, doing things in a new way to almost, it has a way of unraveling the parts that aren't you, which are the dysfunction, which are the compulsion, which are the compulsive thinking. And it starts not becoming a new way. It's like actually your way of being that feels right because it's the real you. You know what I mean? It's not like you're like forcing this new thing on yourself. At first you might be, but it eventually transitions over to like, oh, like this is
second nature.
Yeah, this has been me all along. Like, this feels good. This is how it's supposed to be. Like, before was not how it's supposed to be. Yeah, that's second nature. And for you, I've really seen the second nature ease, especially getting to see your progress so far out of the program. So, yeah, the program's great, but hey, if you don't work it and don't jump all the way in and don't use this up and use the support and get the guidance and get the personalization and all that, it doesn't work. And so I applaud your commitment. Your transformation's been incredible. It's such a special one to me for so many reasons. And, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for getting on the call and taking your time. I so appreciate it.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. And, for anyone out there that wants to do the program or is thinking about it, and for anyone that is in the program right now and stuff, just have faith in you, have faith in the program, have faith in life, and know that, you're meant to live your life and not be controlled by society or food or whatever, that looks like for you, that if just have faith in yourself and have faith in the program, and you're good, I haven't seen it not work for anybody in the group so far. So, and everyone goes in there, with determination and I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised at once you learn how to, have faith in yourself and have faith in releasing the control, how much easier life will be for you. So it just, I can't say enough. It's really not about how it changed my life so much with food as just so much my life in general. It's just everything. I'm just showing up so much more for everything. So I'm just, very, very grateful. I wish I would have had this 30 years ago, but hey, I wasn't ready for it 30 years ago.
Yeah. What is this quote I always say? Yeah, your process is perfect. So, yeah, it came at the right time, right, when you were receptive and open to hearing it. So that's incredible. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you. And thank you. I know everyone's going to get a ton of value out of this. I can't wait to post it and share it with the girls. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks again.
All right, thanks. Bye.
All right, bye.